Hey everyone, Matt here bringing you another hobby vlog video. I want to try something a little different this week and talk about a topic that has been weighing on my mind quite a lot recently. And this is the topic of efficiency. Efficiency, particularly with hobbying. I know I said I wanted to make these a lot more often following the new year, but in all honesty, these unit analyses videos that I've been making are taking up a lot of time, especially a lot of time I have allocated towards producing videos. And they're a lot harder than I thought they'd be to actually make in terms of the amount of resources and energy that they take to produce. So I've kind of been set back a little bit on my hobbying side. But I'm probably going to need to reshuffle my expectations on that a little bit and figure out a better system to better balance everything I'm interested in making and putting out there. But, all that said, I want to make this video today because there's a topic that's been sort of weighing me down these past few weeks. And I think it's an interesting topic to talk about. And this is sort of just related to feeling discouraged about starting a new project. And the reason I bring this up is because with the somewhat recent announcement of the Old World from Warhammer, I noticed, well, first of all, I wasn't really interested in it, but when I was reading through some of the articles that were popping up, I saw that one of the factions that's in the game, or that's a legacy faction in the game, are the Lizardmen. And I instantly got so nostalgic because I don't know if others here have ever played the Total War game series, but there's a Warhammer Total War series. It's really fun. I played it a bunch throughout my life, and one of the factions in that game that I predominantly played as were the Lizardmen. And so, I know that they exist in Age of Sigmar as Seraphon, but I didn't really feel all that enticed to jump into the hobby for Age of Sigmar and start playing that. And I'll touch upon that in a second. But really, seeing how they looked on the table, seeing these battle reports where they're in ranked formation, it just really brought me back to when I used to play that with my friends and how much fun we used to have. And just how incredible the armies looked when they were all marching in formation and charging into each other's flanks. It was just such an epic sight to see. And so seeing some battle reports about the Old World, it sort of just reinvigorated that nostalgia, that want to actually have these models and just see them on the table. And that's where I started thinking. So initially, I was like, this is great. There's a couple models that I really love. I love the Kroxigors. I love the Lizardmen troops, the Saurus, and the Bastiladon. The Bastiladon was a model that was always on my mind from even when I first started playing in the hobby, because I knew it existed in the Age of Sigmar range. And it was just such a cool model, just this big dinosaur. I love Bastiladons. And so just seeing that as a model on the table made me want to pick it up. But I haven't ever done it. I don't own any. So, for my own armies, I've always played 40k primarily. So all I own are Votann and Blood Angels. And it never really occurred to me to invest my time or money into another gaming model because I was content and happy with this. But seeing those formations on the table, seeing the armies that I grew up playing on the computer alive in battle reports, it just really made me passionate about picking up a squad and painting them up. And so I had it in my head to pick up a squad. I went online, I had it in the cart, I was ready to go. I was just going to buy one squad of the Saurus infantry units and one squad of Kroxigors. And then right before checkout, I paused. And I went, why would I buy this when I actually can't use it on the table? I have to throw a character in first. So then I started doing some research. Which characters can I include? And then I had to learn the rules for formations. And then I was like, this looks like it's a big commitment for the Old World to learn all these rules. Nobody really plays it. Maybe I should just pick this up and try to build formations for Age of Sigmar so I could probably use them for both games. And then suddenly I find myself on YouTube watching videos on how to play Age of Sigmar, which, admittedly, in the past I was never interested in doing, but after watching the videos, it looks quite fun and similar to 40k anyway. So I figured I would want to maybe even start that. And so I'm looking at the formations, I'm looking at the rules, I'm trying to understand how all of this works. And then I download the app for the Age of Sigmar Army Builder. I'm trying to build up to 1,000 points. And then I'm looking up lists online to see if what I have is viable. And then all of a sudden it hits me. And I'm like, what am I doing? All I wanted to do was feel a little nostalgic and a little bit of happiness by purchasing one unit of Saurus, painting them up just like in the Total War paint scheme, and throwing them on my shelf. And now all of a sudden I'm building a 1,000 point list for another game. I don't know what I'm doing. Some people are saying they're not even viable. You got to run skinks. Why do I care about that? And then that's when I started to feel discouraged because, yeah, like it kind of does matter. If I buy this one unit and I put it on my shelf, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to obviously want to play with it. But in order for me to play with it, I'm going to have to invest some more money into buying and time into buying and painting some other units. And even if we take out the full efficiency of competitive list building, and I do want to play it casually, I wouldn't care to go competitive in Old World or Age of Sigmar. For me, it's just this passion project. But then I find myself stuck because suddenly I'm considering all of these factors when the initial urge, the initial compulsion, the initial interest was simply to sit down and paint something that looked really fun and have a beautiful model on the shelf for me to look at and maybe even place it on the table and just enjoy looking at it and having it. Obviously, you'd want to use it, but that wasn't the goal here. So why does my mind go to that? And I think this is why I decided to title the video "Has Efficiency Ruined Hobbying?" And it's exactly that the problem. It's that I'm not looking at this as a hobby project. I'm looking at this as a hobby project, but through the eyes of optimization and efficiency. I'm trying to make sure that my investment is going to give me back some return, whether that's through being viable on the table, or whether that's through being able to actually play games with it, or being able to build upon it, or just being able to use it immediately. How can I get the most amount of value out of this unit? Can I buy this? Should I buy a box instead that has some units bundled in with it? And your mind is going to all these options when it wasn't supposed to begin with. I think what's really interesting about Warhammer as a hobby is that it's very multifaceted. There's a bunch of different areas people could have interest in. For example, you could buy things just to paint them. You could buy things to collect them. You could use the things you bought and painted and collected to actually play on the table with them. So we have already just 3 different ways that you can use the same item you purchased. But there are big implications with each one of them because it's scaling and each one grows from the other. And because of that, I think it becomes really hard to separate the two. You're primed to want to think efficiently. Warhammer is, a lot of people say it's expensive, and it is obviously a little overpriced, but you do get a lot of value out of your purchase because of all these different ways that you can use it. So when I look at a model that looks really cool, it's hard for me to separate the want of just buying that model to paint it and own it because it looks great versus the immediate and automatic thought that goes, hey, okay, so you bought this, but are you going to actually be able to use it? What else do you need to buy to be able to play with this? How long is that going to take? Do you want to paint 40 of these guys because that's what you need to run for battle line? And I think that it's a little overwhelming. It's a little suffocating when you have to look at things like that, but it's hard not to. Think about something for 40K as well, right? Like I'm sure many of you have looked at models in different armies and gone, oh, this is beautiful. I would love to own one of these. And then the next thing you know, you're on Battlescribe, or now the official Warhammer app, and you're looking through a list and you're trying to figure out what you need to buy to actually build it. And then you go, oh my God, this is going to cost me like $600. Or, oh my God, I'm going to have to paint 100 of these guys. I don't want to do it anymore. And I remember the same thing happened to me when I had Tempestus Scions. I had started the Tempestus Scion army. It was a joy to paint them. I had a lot of fun just having a little squad of 10 on the table just to look at them. I didn't even play Tempestus Scions. But then when I wanted to see, oh, well, how can I expand this? I saw, oh, okay, I'm going to have to literally paint 100 of these. And they're all the same. And so I just sold it. I sold something that I painted and I was really proud of because it just felt pointless to own. And why? Because I wasn't getting value out of it anymore. I felt I wasn't, and I could have put that money towards another project in Warhammer that would get me some value. I think another reason why I kind of just got discouraged was because I was so excited to get this and paint it and maybe even just, eventually build a small 500-point force, and then I go, oh, well, does anyone here in my area actually play the Old World? Something else that I completely forgot about mentioning and sort of just brushed over was that the Lizardmen, the whole reason I wanted to start playing, are part of a legacy faction. So that means they probably won't even get any new rules. So then my second thought is, well, am I just wasting my money on this because it's going to be unplayable? I won't have an actual game where I could play this in. Can I convince any of my friends to try playing Age of Sigmar? What about family members that I know might be interested in this fantasy setting? How can I go about getting them invested and interested in playing the game? Then I go, okay, well,
if I want to get my family member invested in this or my partner, I'm going to have to set up a really nice table. Maybe I should invest in one of those gaming mats because, when I play with my friends or I play at the store, I don't actually need one. We just draw lines. But for somebody that's new, seeing everything painted, seeing a full board that tells this visual story is humongous and initially captivating them and captivating their interest into actually committing to playing the game and getting involved in the hobby. And so then it goes, okay, well, now I got to buy the mat. How am I going to actually get the person to want to play the game? I'm going to have to buy 500 points of another army just to set it up so that they can actually try it out and see if they like it. And now you can see how this very quick idea of buying a $60 box of 10 models suddenly becomes this $400 project that's going to take me like 3 to 4 months to finish. And it's just not worth it anymore. But I know that objectively, all I have to do is buy this box because I like how it looks, paint it, put it on my shelf, and be proud and happy about it. But there's just this innate feeling of desire to be as optimal and efficient as possible. And then it's like, well, maybe I could just put this money towards something else, like further expanding my Votann range to try different lists out. I'm not really sure if I'm making the point of how I'm feeling very clear. I know I've rambled a little bit, but I think just bottom line is that due to the nature of the hobby, there's, I think, this innate drive to capitalize on our natural affinity towards optimization and efficiency and wanting to make sure that what we buy is going to be used repeatedly and get the most amount of value out of it. When sometimes we forget that the reason we're all in this hobby is to look at really nice models. So all that said, I still don't know if I'm going to end up buying them. I really wanted to, and I still want to. Like, on paper, I think it'd be really nice. It'd be a cool project. My Votann, I love painting them. I think it's a joy to process I have down right now, but they are a really dark and, grim dark theme. And I think changing the pattern up by introducing a new project that's extremely light and extremely vibrant could be really fun, especially since it has so much nostalgic value to me. Anyway, hopefully I'm not alone in this, and some of you can relate to what I'm currently feeling. And if you have, please let me know in the comments how you've handled these feelings or what approaches you've taken to try to make it feel just a little less discouraging. I tried a new format with this week's video just to have some painting in the background while I ranted endlessly about something that was on my mind. So hopefully you guys like this and it wasn't too distracting, but let me know in the comments below. Maybe this could be a format I use for these hobby vlogs going forward. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.